want to get right into. And I'm just going to ask you one question. And I want you to come up with 3 to 5 words that you want people to use when they describe you. Write that down somewhere. What words do you want people to use when they describe you? And this will come into the rest of the program here. What words do you want people to use when they describe you? 3 to 5. 3 to 5 words. I want you, and when you're finished, oh, let me see. When you finish, just well, just let me know.
Is everyone feeling ready?
Everybody ready? Okay. All right. So let's proceed here. And so here are the outcomes today and for this evening. So let's start with your brand. And that question that I just asked has to do with your brand. And the question was, how do you want to make your profile stand out? The idea being is that you should know your brand. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And one of the ways is to figure out what it is that you want people to say about you when you leave the room. And what do they say when you leave the room? What field are you in? What services do you provide? Just start thinking about your presence on LinkedIn. Branding is very, very important. We're going to talk about the what, the why, the reasons, benefits for being on LinkedIn. And then we're going to spend a lot of time going over some of the things to help you create your profile, your photo, your headline, your summary. And I'll go back to that brand a little bit. What is your story? How do you tell your story on LinkedIn? What's your experience, keywords, and endorsements. And then other LinkedIn considerations, URL, privacy settings, and what LinkedIn is really good at is networking. You can use it to network. So it's all about your brand. And in today's working world, your professional online brand is key. So part of what I ask you to do in terms of the 3 words is to start having words that describe you. So I want you to think about your brand mantra. Branding is an interesting word out there. Tom Peters years ago wrote a book, Brand You. And he thought that if companies, products have brands, what they're known for, well, then people should have brands. So a brand mantra is consolidating all of that into 3 to 5 words in your brand mantra, a quick, simple, memorable statement describing who you are and what you have to offer. And it communicates to others what your business is all about. And you might be employed somewhere, but you're really in business. And really in today's world, it's You Inc. You Inc. Nashim Inc. Courtney Inc. Joanna Inc. What is your business? And Jay-Z one time came up. I never thought in a million years I would be using a quote by Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business. So what's your business, everybody? What do you do? What do you want to be known for? What can people rely on you for? And maybe it has to do with some of the words that you want people to talk about and coming up with your brand mantra. And from the world of business, we have one here. It says, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. Does anybody know where that's from? What hotel that's from? That's their brand. Well, if you stay at a Ritz-Carlton, that's what their mantra is. That's what drives them forward. Family, fun, family entertainment. Anybody ever been to Disney World? That's their mantra. Here are some personal mantras that I have. Dependable, strategic thinker, strategic planner, a creative professional connector, motivating others to do their best. So just with that, have you thought about what your brand could be? And that's going to be communicated on your LinkedIn profile and in parts of your resume as you expand upon it. So I have here some questions, 3 areas that you can consider in terms of creating a kick butt brand mantra. Determine your emotional appeal. There are 3 questions there underneath that. I used the one, what words do others use to describe me? How do they describe you? How do people benefit by working with you? How do I make people feel? All that is part of who you are. Something to think about, something to really ruminate over and come up with a bunch of words that do that. Determine your description. What field or industry am I in, or what do I want to be in? If you have a direction, what do you want to be in? What are the types of words that you use to describe your work? Who is your target audience? And then determine your function. What service do I have to offer people? What do I do to make that makes me stand out from everybody else? So when we come back to that question, what will make my LinkedIn profile stand out? These 3 areas, if you can incorporate that in your headline and in your summary statement, you are going to stand out. And let me just say, the person who wanted to know about the difference between the resume and LinkedIn, in resume writing, you're going after a specific job. And you're going to apply for certain jobs, and you're going to write a resume specifically for that job. LinkedIn, you don't have that benefit. You have to put it all out there. And in LinkedIn, you can use the word I, me. You can write in the first person. You're telling your story. In resume writing, you don't use the word I, me. It's bullet points, direct, concise, cogent to the point. Using as few words as possible. Mark Twain wrote somebody a letter, and he said, I'm writing you a long letter because I do not have time to write you a short one. And that's what you have to do in a resume, looking after a specific job. With LinkedIn, you're telling your story. You're telling your story. So here I have some other samples that you could look at. This person's starting out in the first one, focused, helping business and individuals achieve success. That's right to the point. Second one, sales management major, graduating 2019. So even if you're not working, you are describing what it is that you want to do, the function that you want to do. Great in establishing rapport, so they know a little bit about you. Scientist, best under pressure. I'm not so happy with that one, but that's how that person is describing themselves. So that is where this is where the brand can help you then determine your headline and how you want to write your summary statement. So with that in mind, Nashim, what words do you want people to use to describe you? And I happen to sit with Nashim about 2 or 3 times a week. Well, what do you got for us, Nashim? I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. I wrote, let me open it up. Fundraising, networking, communicating, politics, and outreach. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So you got the start of it. You got the start of it. And somewhere along the line, you're going to put down, maybe development, expert in fundraising, and so on and so forth. Courtney, how about you?
Yeah, I put down leader, organized, and honest.
Honest. All right. Way to go. Now, Courtney, in what do you may I ask where you are? You a student still, or do you have a direction where you want to go in?
No, so I'm the National Fellowship Director for our organization. So I oversee all 100 and some of our students.
Wow, very nice. So Courtney, you might want to then put what it is, what function that you have with that to complete that brand mantra. Anybody else care to share?
I have something.
Sure, please.
Hi, it's Hugh again. The ones that I've got, which is three, which is education, esports, and community.
What was the second one? I'm sorry.
Esports?
All right, excellent. All right, good. Can you come up with that brand mantra? I think you can. I think you can just expand it because this takes time to kind of think about this, but we just want to get started on this. Your brand is a really important component of your LinkedIn, of your resume, of your interview. How about you, Ellie?
I had passionate, dependable, and innovative.
Innovative. Okay. Can you talk in terms of where you would use those three wonderful descriptors?
Yeah, so I like to describe myself as an innovative storyteller and then link that in with some actual functions of whatever I'm describing that I do. So storytellers can be anybody, and then you have to explain how I can actually use that to make an impact.
Beautiful. And Ellie, I'm going to read your profile because you're going to tell a good story in your LinkedIn profile. How about you, Ellen? Ellen?
I just jumped
Yes.
back on. So I didn't have any words prepared, but I was sitting here processing, and I would probably include educator, connector, and dependable. Those would be my three words.
Excellent. Good. Good. You know, let me just say that by doing this program, and I've done this a lot, every time I do these things, I look at my own LinkedIn file and go, oh my gosh, what am I'm teaching this stuff? Come on, I could do a lot better than that. And then, you know, and still struggling with this. So it takes some time. So don't beat yourself up if you don't come up with the right answer at the right time. Kind of sit with it, help each other out, work with it, work with each other on that. So, so let's talk about the what, the why, the benefit of LinkedIn. So what is LinkedIn for those of you who are unfamiliar with that? So it's a social network that for keep in touch. And in today's world, people are changing jobs very often. So LinkedIn can give you the opportunity to stay updated, where those professional networks are working for them and how to contact them. You can use LinkedIn to get help. There's some tools, answers, and groups that help you connect with experts through trusted introductions. So if you're looking to go in a certain area, maybe you can LinkedIn and connect with somebody to work with them. And most people use LinkedIn to search for jobs. It lets users search thousands of employment listings with options for filling out applications directly on site. Keeping in touch, getting help, getting answers, and then searching for jobs. So let's take a look at the scope of LinkedIn. Over 500 million plus members, 200 countries and territories, 9 million companies profiles. So if you're looking, you can look up companies to see what they're all about and see if that's a place for you to land. And 2.1 million groups. Groups are special interests. So I know that all of you are volunteers. One here, 2 new members join per second. So staying connected, being connected is an important part of your professional identity to seeing what's out there. And also for you to help people. So we had a question about postings. You know, the more you post, the more people will take a look at you and see that you could be a subject matter expert. The more you comment on people's posts, people see that, and so on. And then there's an algorithm that LinkedIn uses so that your name rises to the top if they happen to be looking for you based upon your skill set. So why should you be on LinkedIn? Helps you establish an online presence. Now, LinkedIn can supplement and in some cases replace your resume. And as I said before, those are two different documents, the LinkedIn and the resume. We mentioned before you can use LinkedIn to apply for a job. LinkedIn lets you research prospective employers, seeing what's out there, seeing what they're all about. LinkedIn helps you connect with alumni from your college. So I've known people that will look for a job and they will go to company X and they will see who in their connections work for company X, and many of those connections sometimes are their alumni. Even though you don't know them, they can maybe give you some insight into that company and how to maneuver through that crazy HR system that they have. But here's the big thing now, why you should be on LinkedIn. 95% of the hiring community uses LinkedIn. These are internal recruiters as well as independent recruiters looking to fill positions. So it's not going to happen for you if you're not on LinkedIn. So I would say, and then it's not going to happen for you if you're not on LinkedIn with a substantial profile, header, photo, and so on. So let's look at creating your LinkedIn profile and what mistakes that you can avoid. The photograph. We went over branding. We went in the photo, your LinkedIn photos. How many people have a LinkedIn photo? All right, Nashim, I was looking at yours. Johanna? Okay. Liam, are you on LinkedIn? Do you have a LinkedIn photo? How about you, Jessica?
Yes, if you can see my photo here, this is also my LinkedIn photo.
All right. So it's smiling. That's great. Excellent. So here it is. We would ask that you use a professional picture, professional type picture. But take a look at this young lady here. No shadows. Eyes are bright and clear view. Professional outfit. Obviously, this was taken by a professional. A smile, a genuinely expression, welcoming smile. Jessica, you got that on yours, absolutely. And a non-distracting background. So I take it, Jessica, this was not a professional photo, but it looks professional type. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I figured it would be an excellent start.
Okay. So this is one way to measure whether or not you have that professional photo. So why use a professional photo? Don't forget it's your first impression in terms of what people see you. And you will get 14 times more visits if you have a professional type of photo as opposed to having a photo with a beer in your hand. And headshots are much better than body shots on all devices. Don't forget, a lot of people are going mobile, so headshots are a little bit better than full body shots. So, and here are some pictures that I've picked out from LinkedIn profiles, pictures. I'm not quite sure you would want to put anything quite like these on your photos in terms of your LinkedIn profile. So avoid inappropriate attire, poor quality photos, poorly cropped photos, out-of-date photos. So that's any questions at all about the photos? Any questions at all? How many people are going to change their photos right now based upon this here? I have it open in chat, so okay. All right. So the photos. Photos are very important. So here we have no selfies. Smile, look approachable. This is a photo review. An ideal size. And don't forget, you'll be getting this in a PDF format. Headshots translate better than body shots. times more page views, 9 times invites to connect, 36 as many messages. Profiles with current job positions get noticed 16 times more than in recruiter searches. Profiles that include skills and city location get noticed up to 27% times more. So your photo is very, very important, but there's some other things too, as terms of your current job and also skills and city and locations. So please take a look at that. Dashim, any questions at all do you have about this?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, everybody, any questions? Anybody have any questions at all? So the bottom line, you want to come across as competent, likable, influential. And here's a website that you could go to upload your photo. Photo Feeler will tell you exactly how you're coming across to strangers in your prospective profile pictures. So if you want to give that a shot in the business world, again, competent, likable, and influential. So in the background, you'll see in the middle bottom here, this is the background that LinkedIn gives you. Should you consider adding a photo background? Yes. You can go to Google, you can go to Bing, and you can then look at all just put in LinkedIn background photos, and all these ones are the ones that I got from Google just by putting that in there. But as much as you can, add to your photo, add to the background. Do not use the one in the middle bottom. So now we come to the headline. What should your headline be? So this is at the top of the LinkedIn user's profile where they can describe what they can do in 120 characters or less. It appears next to your name. So you tailor it to your audience. You can include your brand mantra. Use the prospect's language. Try to entice readers to click the profile, and don't get overboard with hyperbole. Just stick to the facts. The headline is critical in terms of that. It describes who you are. So here are some headline examples. And so what I put down, 3 of them, if you're still in school, please notice they're using some words from the brand mantra, maybe not, but they say aspiring in some of them. So aspiring. So if you're in school, you can say aspiring, tell them when you might be graduating, but then use those words that they would use in the business world. So even though this person is aspiring consumer marketer, they're using the word consumer marketer. They're using the word strategy, promotions, campaign management. And that allows them, when they put in their keywords, the company, the recruiter, maybe your LinkedIn profile will come up and they will notice you. Any questions at all about the headlines?
I have a question.
Yes.
If someone's changing a career path, would they write aspiring again?
No, if they have a number of years in the world of work, aspiring tends to be for people just coming out of school. That's a great question. So I would then put down what you have the skills in, that you have in terms of organization, in terms of project management, project coordination, relationship building, things like that, and then use those words, as well as maybe some of the other words that you have in your brand mantra to move that forward. Great question. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What if you're a student, but
Yes.
you mentioned using the language that the people in your field would use? How do
Yes.
you find that language?
My recommendation would be go to maybe a dozen job postings of work that you want to do in the industry, maybe even the organization that you want to work in. Make a list of all the key words that are in the posting. And let's say the word project coordinator is in there a dozen times, 12 out of 12 times. And if you've done project coordination work in the work that you've done here at CEEP or perhaps in other areas, then make sure that they know that you can do that. So that could be in your header. It could also be in your summary statement. And it could also be in your skill set, which you can then put on your LinkedIn profile, what skills that you have. And then if you could get people to endorse project coordinator, and there's an endorsement section on LinkedIn, that could be worthwhile and beneficial to you as well. So you can look for keywords that that company's using, that job position is using, and if you've touched upon that, use that, then that could be also part of your header. Does that answer the question? Good?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay. All right. So, I am having trouble moving my slide deck forward here. Machine. Oh, there you go. So, you have a story. So the next part after your header is, what is your story? What is it that you have to offer? We ask you to write an excellent summary story, if you will. And again, write in the first person. So you use the word I, me, or my. In your resume, you never use those words. It's just assume that they're talking about you. You wouldn't talk about yourself in the third person, so you don't do it on your LinkedIn profile. You have 2,000 characters to use in this section, but it doesn't mean you have to use all of them. 3 paragraphs are plenty. It's just telling a story. And you treat it like a cover letter. You're telling a brief career story, even if it's just about the career that you aspire to have. And again, profiles with summary statements within there receive 7 times more views than profiles that don't. So in terms of job search, you want people to take a look at your LinkedIn profile as often as you can. So questions to ask yourself when you create your story. What words do my clients and peers and managers consistently use to describe your work? Get some feedback from each other so that you can then create that excellent story in your profiles. How would I describe what I do to someone completely unfamiliar in my field? When I first met Nashim, she was able to explain to me what she did, and I understood it. I had no idea what she did right off the bat, but she was able to explain it to me, and the success that she's had and the passion that she has for that work. What do you want to be professionally known for? That's something, what do you want people to know you? What is your reputation? What is your character? What are your competencies? What is your brand mantra? We talked about that as well. What do you love most about what you do? Speak it with passion. You really, if you love doing it, then you love doing it. And don't be shy in telling them about it in your LinkedIn profile. Not on your resume so much, but in your LinkedIn profile. What are your top 3 key messages? And what are 3 things that you want people to know in terms of your job? What an exciting adventure you guys are going to go on trying to figure this out. I know that this is difficult to think about right now. It takes some time. The corn grows best in a slow and steady rain. You have a whole group of people that could help you out. Perhaps your next meeting will help each other out so that each of you can develop that top-notch career LinkedIn profile. And here's just a little worksheet that you have. Got to know first what your expertise is. You got to know what your strengths are. And then your professional summary. And you could start it, I'm a graduate of what? With a degree in whatever. I can add value by. My strengths include. My passion is. These are things that you could use as just as a startup in terms of your LinkedIn profile. And look at this little key here, and I'm going to repeat this later on. 42% of hiring managers weigh volunteerism in their hiring decisions. So you have that working for you. And so make the most of it in your summary statement. Liam, any questions at all? I see you kind of scratching your chin there.
This is my resting face. I get called out for it by the staff. I'm trying to think in terms of some of our younger professionals. I know a lot of times people get hit with like, the first job's the most important job, but so many young people are kind of pivoting. What are sort of transferable skills and how can you kind of write them to sort of make that shift into other, like you're doing one thing, but you really sort of want to move it into another world or line of work. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And you can look up a list of transferable skills. And there are technical skills that are unique to the work that you do. But just in terms of what you do, and what I understand that a lot of people do, it's relationship building, it's project coordination, it's being detail oriented, it's communication. And so if you break down some of those technical skills, technical to the work that you do, you'll come up with a big list of transferable skills. And if you're at a loss for that, if you look that up on LinkedIn, on Google or Bing, what are transferable skills? Boom, they're just going to pop up at you. So that's how I might use that transferable skill list to move that forward. So does that answer the question, Liam?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the LinkedIn summary?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I also wanted to add on that.
Sure.
I'm actually for my whole college for freshmen. So I think one of the most impacting things that we told our youth is to say you have technology skills, because technology is the new implementing factor for a lot of jobs.
That's right. That's right. I'm dating myself here, but when we put down computer skills, it was whether or not you know Word and things like that. But today, everybody knows that, so that's not a selling point for us anymore. But for you, it could be in terms of the what you know. Any other advice that you give those folks? Nope. So your experience, what you can consider. So you can include in the exterior, you'll have an experience section where you outline the various jobs that you have. You can have a link to the company. You have an overview. So here is SEO. Does anybody know what SEO stands for? It stands for search engine optimization. So going back to that example of looking for keywords, buzzwords, if you will, in terms of what a company or a specific job might need by way of keywords, you want to populate maybe your header, your experience with many of those keywords the better shot that you have somebody taking a look at your LinkedIn profile. As a matter of fact, I would offer that you have that in your resume, a little side note there, because a lot of companies now are using what they call an ATS, Applicant Tracking System. And when you send in your resume, it's not going to be a person that's going to be looking at your resume right out of the gate. It's going to be a machine, and they're going to be looking for the key words. So you want to have as many keywords as you possibly can in there. Also, it's true with LinkedIn. Companies spend a great deal of money to look for candidates on LinkedIn. They spend money to LinkedIn. Then they're able then to put in the keywords that they're looking for a candidate to have. So as many keywords as you could put into your summary statement and your experience, and then maybe even your headline, the better shot that you have as your resume rising to the top. So when we talk about what you can consider including, the keywords are important. Better grammar, make sure it's grammatically correct. The bullet statements, highlighting certain things. Accomplishment statements. How many people are more than their job duties or job functions or job responsibilities, whether you're a student or are you working? What have you achieved? Accomplishment statements are tremendous in both LinkedIn as well as resume writing. Create links. Now here is where you can really shine now. For every job that you have, whether you are still a student doing the volunteer work or not, you could have somebody write you a recommendation and you can post that on LinkedIn. You don't put that an attachment on your resume. You don't give anybody a letter of recommendation unless they ask you for it. And I have known but one person in the 20 years that I've been doing this that have been asked for a letter of recommendation. They've been asked for references, but not recommendations. But you could have people talk to write something for you to post on LinkedIn, as well as other supporting information. Yes.
How many recommendations should you seek?
I think you could have 2 recommendations that I'm assuming that most of you don't have more than 10 years of work experience, but 2 recommendations per job that you have. That would be great. And if it's only 1, it's 1. But to have them there would be excellent. Does that answer your question?
Yep, good. And just to give you an idea of the audience, I think half of us actually are professionals with maybe a decade or so of experience.
Right.
And the other half of us are students.
All right, and I help you. That's a very good point for me to bring out for you. You should probably be able to have your LinkedIn, all of your work experience within 10 years. If you get more than 15 years worth of work, you don't have to put that on there. In your resume, it goes back about 10 years, and then you summarize your early experience. So for those of you who will approach the 10, 15-year mark, you could start eliminating some of those earlier positions or summarizing them both in LinkedIn and in your resume. All right. Now, we talked about yes.
Sorry, I had another question somewhat online of what Johanna had to say. It may come up later, but this is actually more towards the younger folks on our call.
Sure.
You know, a lot of jobs now are, sort of terminal for students who are working on campaigns, or maybe they're working on a project that goes from 9 months, or the job itself is just a year-long position. Is that something that they, just how do young people think about the fact that they may be not job hopping, but having jobs with shorter lifespans than folks maybe like myself or some of the older, not to age anyone on here, who work in jobs for more like 3 to 5 years before moving into a different position?
Well, I would say that welcome to the new world. And this is a world that's been changing for quite some time. I'm sitting here at Bell Labs, the old Bell Labs building in Homedale, New Jersey, where my dad worked for Bell Labs for 40 years, 44 years. And I've been doing this type of work now for 20 years. And increasingly, it is the norm that people have jobs every new jobs every 3 to 5 years. It's very acceptable now. And so, and some people call it portfolio careering. So it's not uncommon for that to happen. And I would recommend that for any new job that you take, you make sure that you learn something from that job, create your skill base so that you can move on more effectively to the next job. I think even in some companies like Microsoft, you just work for projects, and once the project is over, then you're out of work, and you then have to sell yourself, perhaps, hopefully, back into Microsoft for you then to get your next position. And some of these projects could be 2 years, and some of them could be 12 years or 15 years, a whole career. But overall, that is the new world of work that you're facing for today. So I would say be prepared for it. This is why LinkedIn is critical, so that you can keep track of this. It keeps you you're aware, okay, what skills do I have? What skills do I need to have? What skills can I improve upon? Always being a continuous learner. So that is the world that we're in today. And it's much different than Bob Nolan, my dad. I myself have had 8 or 9 different jobs in my lifetime. So, and now people I know, kids of my friends, they're already in their 3rd or 4th job, even though they've only been in the job market for 10, 12 years. And that's the way of the world. I see some people nodding their heads with that. Ellen, you're nodding your head. Do you understand that to be true?
Yep, I got my master's in 2007, so 12 years of work, and this is my 5th job. So one of those portfolio career folks, and finding it to be very much the case for folks my age, and the students have advised. So it works, but it is definitely it's not a life career like that anymore.
Right, right, right. As a matter of fact, there are some people that have been with companies for 20 years and they have a harder time finding a job because the HR person will say, hey, you haven't changed enough. Why do you must get lazy in this job or something, so it can work against you. Ellen, thank you for that. Do we have another person on board here, Nashim?
Sorry.
That's quite all right. Hello. All right. So let me move forward here. Yep. Every once in a while this gets stuck. Okay. So here are some facts and figures about your keywords. 95% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. Keyword searches are the most common ways to find the right candidates. Keywords, keywords, keywords. And then type in a few keywords in the profile, and LinkedIn will show you people's profiles associated with those words. And then recruiters rely on algorithms, LinkedIn algorithms, to show them the most relevant profiles based upon, yes, you guessed it, keyword search. So all recruiters have to do is to put in the keywords and look for people with those skills. So that's some important information to use when you're creating your LinkedIn profile. So here is a lot of words here. There's keywords and then endorsements. Keywords and then endorsements. You can have people, you can put the keywords in there, your skills in there, and you could go to people and have them endorse you for those skills. There is that section. So here are just some key points having to do with endorsements. So, let me see. Ellen, could you do you have keywords endorsements on your profile?
I'm looking. I have a number of skills and endorsements.
Good,
Here.
good, good. How about you, Jessica?
I just I am like a very new professional. I just graduated in May, and so
Oh,
I know
okay.
I only have like 3 endorsements on there. This
Got
from
it.
jobs I held in college.
Got it. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, good. Thank you for that. And Courtney, how about you?
Yeah, I have a couple. In like public speaking. I don't remember all the other ones.
Okay. Well, that's good. If you have a lot of them, that's great. But and just we know that your first degree connections can endorse you for your skills, not anybody else. So this goes without saying. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Read it upside, downside, sideways, backwards, forwards. Just proofread. Make sure that it's correct. You know, most people scan resumes and scan LinkedIn profiles, but there's every once in a while you'll have somebody that really looks with it with a microscope or a magnifying glass. So make sure you proofread, proofread, and proofread. So networking in LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, there's 4 goals of networking. To get your message out, LinkedIn can do that. Gather information, LinkedIn can help you do that. Meet insiders at targeted companies. Guess what? LinkedIn can help you do that. And get in touch with decision makers. LinkedIn can help you do that. So we have you engage your LinkedIn network. And here is start with the contacts you already know. Personalize LinkedIn requests. So when you reach out to somebody, personalize it. There's a standard note that I don't pay attention to, but I will respond to a personalized request. Join groups and engage in group communication. It shows that you're active on LinkedIn. Leverage your alumni network. For those of you who are coming out of school, don't forget the alumni network. For those of you who've been out of school already, leverage your alumni network. Employ status updates and responses. And you can build meaningful relationships using LinkedIn. Use it extensively if you need to. So build your network. Try to get at least 100 first-tier connections. Search for people that you know utilizing the advanced people search, then ask to connect. Ask for an introduction to a second-tier connection through your first-tier connection. And LinkedIn groups are also great to utilize. Networking through LinkedIn. So now we're coming towards the end of the program here. I just put together a few things here for you to think about here. So here are some interesting facts. So it's not just LinkedIn that can influence your getting hired. It's all of social media. So this is using Google, it's using Facebook, it's using Twitter, everything. 65% of recruiters use social conduct to evaluate professionalism. So if a recruiter sees your name and they could see your shenanigans on Facebook and Twitter and it's not professional, you might not be asked to come in for the appointment. 51% evaluate your fitness to their culture. 49% verify your qualifications. And here in red, 43% of all hiring managers found information online that helped them to decide not to hire somebody. So while this is about LinkedIn, I ask you to clean up anything that you might have on your Facebook, your Twitter accounts, and so on. 30% of all Google searches are job related. That's how much they're using it. 59% of recruiters rated candidates sourced through social media as highest quality. They're looking at your social media. 94% plan to use social media in their recruiting process. So it's not just LinkedIn. Oh, I should have pressed that there to emphasize that. So, volunteerism, campus selection engagement project, you could put that on your LinkedIn. You can use that. Anything that you have. I one time was a member of Toastmasters. I use that. I was not a member of boys and girls clubs, but you can use that in terms of that. So these are just things in terms of volunteerism. And again, as we mentioned before, 42% of hiring managers weigh volunteerism in their hiring decisions. Here's another one. Customize your URL. Do you have a large one? A large one. You can shrink it down. Here are some ways that you could do that. Again, you'll be getting the PDF file of these this slide deck. It will tell you how you can edit and narrow down your LinkedIn profile address. By the way, that should be on your resume. Your LinkedIn profile address should be on your resume. Only, one time I used to put my home address on my resume, the street address, and the city and state and zip code. Today's world, you don't even have to put that on there on your resume. It's your name, your LinkedIn profile address, your email, and the best phone number that they can get in touch with you, and that's usually the cell phone number. But you can shrink down your LinkedIn profile address by just following these instructions. Now, before you start working on LinkedIn, perhaps some of you know this already, sharing profile edits, put no. If you don't do that, every time you make a change to your profile, it's just going to be broadcast to all your connections and to the world. So just put no to that so that you can make a few edits, close it up, make a few edits, move forward. This way, not everybody's going to see exactly what you're doing. Any questions at all about what we just discovered or just what we went over? Any questions?